Welcome back to Steve Smallingen Saloon.
All right, so today we are going to tear this chainsaw apart to find out why it is seized solid. It is locked right up. This is my buddy George Bowater's chainsaw. He brought this to me because it's seized, obviously. I haven't touched this thing. I thought, hey, why don't we just roll the camera, do something I haven't done for a long time, and we're going to find out together why this chainsaw is seized. We're going to find out what actually seized it, and then try to determine why it's seized, and also whether it's worth fixing or not. It might be worth fixing and it might not. This is a Husqvarna 372 XP. In my opinion, it's one of the best chainsaws ever built. All right, so there could be multiple reasons why this thing is seized. First thing I want to check is it could be hydrolocked. There could be fuel on top of the piston and the piston's coming up and it locks your chainsaw up like that. So let's get after it. Check out pull that spark plug out. Oh, look at this. This is interesting. That fuel filter, or air filter, wow, that is suspiciously clean. Interesting. Now, if you look down inside the intake, it is clean as a whistle inside of there. And the reason I bring that up is because sometimes you'll see an air filter's got a little hole in it, or it's just a really old air filter, and the fine sawdust and everything is getting through there. That's called dirt ingestion, and that can lock your chainsaw up too. But in this case, that's not the reason. It's nice and clean in there. And spark plug. Now this is also kind of strange. It's a brand new spark plug in there. That spark plug looks like it's never been fired. It is the proper spark plug, BPM R7A. All right, let's look inside there and see what we can see. Wow, I can't see very much at all. That the piston is locked at almost all the way at the top. So I can't see the cylinder wall on the exhaust side there to see if there's any scoring on it. You know what the proper thing to do right now is? A pressure and a vacuum test. I can't do it on this one because I don't see, when I look in there, I don't see the transfer ports are not even close to being open. To do a pressure and vacuum test, you have to have the piston all the way at the bottom so the transfer ports are open, so the pressure and vacuum test gets down to the bottom of the engine, the crankcase, to test the main seals and all that stuff. See, if we take it apart now, if we end up pulling the cylinder off of there, and then you determine it was an air leak that caused the seizure, then it's too late to do a pressure and vacuum test because you already have it all apart. You should do that right now, but the piston has to be at the bottom. So I can't do the pressure and vacuum test. All right, what's next? We are going to pull the muffler off of this so we can see the intake or the exhaust side of the piston, and we'll get more information from that. But what I want to do first is take the starter off because I have seen some Husqvarnas, if you pull the rope out and you let it go too fast, it can unwind the rope off of the pulley, the starter rotor, some people call it, and it'll wrap around the crankshaft, and then that'll happen. That can lock your engine up too. I don't think that's the case because usually when that happens, the rope is hanging out a little bit. But there's something else I want to check in here too. So let's get that starter off. Uh-oh. There's a good start. New battery. All right, that sucker's done, finally. Where's my Milwaukee? There we go. That's better. I don't mind taking stuff apart with one of these impacts because it's fast, but I don't never put anything back together with that. Maybe just lightly, and then I hand tighten everything. Okay, so there you go. I wanted to see if that happened, but that's clearly not happened. Rope's a little short, but that works fine. And yeah, it's still locked up. Now, the other thing I wanted to see in there, sometimes, because we all know that the coil is only like a 10,000th of an inch gap, airspace between the coil and the flywheel. And I have seen where the coil bolts that hold the coil on come a little bit loose, and then the coil moves over and hits the flywheel. And that can also lock the engine up. But that is not the case. There is still an air gap there. It's not touching the flywheel. Okay, so that eliminated all that. It's still locked up. Yep, locked up. So now what we're going to do is pull the muffler off. You know what I'm going to do though, make it a lot easier for us all to see? I am going to take this top cover off. I think that's the only thing I need this for. That Milwaukee does not accept these little bits. I don't have an adapter for that, so. Go. Now, here's another thing I want to show you. Once you get it to this point, you can actually, I blew this out really good before I started the video. Sometimes if you look around, right where the cylinder goes down to the cylinder gasket onto the crankcase, sometimes you'll see it's all covered with dirt. And then sometimes you'll see a little clean spot right where those meet together, right where the cylinder gasket is. You'll see a little clean spot, and that's a dead indication right there that there's an air leak. And that's the only reason that's going to be clean around there. But from what I can see, there's no clean spots there. So let's take the muffler off. A carb adjusting screwdriver like that works great on these bolts for digging the dirt and debris out of those, so your tool fits in there better. I think I only need 4 bolts. Really curious. I think that the side of this piston is going to be munched. See how I'm just throwing the bolts and nuts in there? If you do this, you might want to put them all in separately in a pile if you're not used to taking these apart. I've had so many of these apart that I know where every bolt goes. Oh, look at this. I just noticed this. Look at this muffler. This muffler's been modified. This is where the stock muffler has where the exhaust comes out on the top. Now, there's been 2 more added drilled holes in the side here, and I have 2 more ports to open that muffler up. That looks like a Walker's Saw Shop muffler mod to me. You know what that means? If we do end up taking the cylinder off of this, ooh yeah, watch these dogs when you're doing this. I've smashed my knuckles. there's a good chance that the piston and cylinder have also been modified by walkers. Wow. Sure, I'm glad that didn't strip. Ooh, is that tight. Ooh. Wow. Just in case you're wondering too, I looked at the serial number stamp on this. It says 2010 on it. So this chainsaw is 14 years old and obviously a very well used. Before we take this cylinder off, if we do, well, we're definitely going to take the cylinder off now. Before we do that, I'm going to have to take it outside and blow it off. Again, a lot of stuff in there. All right. Muffler, shield. All right, let's look in there. Well, what I can see, I can only see the bottom part of the piston. It looks actually really good. Wow, why is this thing locked up? Well, we got no choice now. All right, I'll edit this. When I go outside and blow this off, I'll edit that out so you don't have to watch me do it. I'm gonna put that back on though. Don't get any dirt in there. Just lightly put that spark plug back in there too, so I'm not actually filling anything with dirt. Okay, I'll see you in a second. Okay, that's better. I feel better about taking that thing apart now. You know what else I'm going to do? You don't have to take the handlebars off, but it's so easy to take these off. I'm going to do it because sometimes it gets really hard to take the cylinder off when it's stuck like that, and if the handlebars are out of the way, it saves some frustration. See, sometimes you got a bolt like that that's full of gunk and you can't even get the tool in there. That's full of like mud or something. All right. There. See how easy that is? There. Wide open to the cylinder. Now, I'm not going to take the carb off. You just got to unhook a couple little things here. Oh, hey, you know what else we're going to check before we do that? I'm curious. There's no limiter caps on the high-speed and low-speed screws, which means somebody could have actually took a screwdriver and wound the screw, especially the high-speed screw in too far, and leaned it out like that. So let's see, high-speed screw, I'm just going to see how many turns it's out. Yeah, high-speed is always the one that's the furthest away from the engine. So, one, that was 3/4 of a turn. That might be a little lean. Oh, I'm glad I checked that. I'm glad I remembered to do that. All right. Let's just, if I'm not taking the carburetor off, I got to at least get the throttle cable out of there. So it'll come off all in one piece. Some little rubber grommets holding the carb down. And the choke lever's got to come off. choke lever actually holds the casing and the carb together. Okay, and oh hey, you know what else we didn't check? Straight gas. A lot of you were saying, hey, you should check the gas. Maybe it's got straight gas in it, and that's why it's seized. Good point. Let's dump the gas out. Got to dump the gas out anyway. See, what made me remember that is because I got to take the fuel line off of the carb. And if there's gas in there, if I did that right now, there'd be gas shooting out. Just like a cut artery. So I'm taking the gas out anyway. Hey, I know what you're saying right now. Hey, Steve, why don't you buy a real funnel? I know. I like this one, though, because it kind of locks in that bottle. It doesn't tip out. Watch me spill gas all over the place now that I just said that. Let's see. Let's see what color this is. That looks like pretty good mixed fuel to me. That's the right color. I don't think it was straight gassed, but I have seen the straight gas stuff before where somebody comes and fills it up again with mixed gas after they straight gassed it. Other thing I want to check too is the fuel filter. Sometimes the fuel filter is plugged and causing it to run lean too. That fuel filter is pure white. It almost looks almost new. All right. Carrying on. Let's get that impulse line. Let's have a look at that impulse line. That impulse line is good. Oh, it's not cracked, it's disconnected. All right, fuel line off, impulse line off. Now this whole thing should come out when I get this off. What is that? I think that's a 5 mil. Yeah. Wow. Hand job it is. Holy smokes! I think that was my elbow snapping right there. Wow, these bolts are tight. I sure hope nobody Loctited these in. Woo! Oh boy. Oh, mercy, mercy, mercy. Oh, thank goodness. That's unbelievable how tight those are. Now this will work. Gasket stuck. There we go. Yeah, everything's disconnected there. Nice. Oh, that's jamming there. Throttle cable is stuck in there with dirt. There we go. All right. Now look at this. That cylinder is coming up, but the piston is still not moving. So that piston is definitely stuck in that cylinder. That could be either the piston is melted to the side of the cylinder, or there's a broken ring. One of the piston rings could be broken and jammed into one of the transfer ports. Oh my. I can't even twist this thing. Well, what I'm going to do now is take the carburetor off now, because now I actually want to see if I can see maybe a ring stuck in the intake port behind that carb. Also, now that I got this apart, I want to eyeball this boot. You see this rubber boot that connects the cylinder to the carb? Sometimes you'll see a clean spot on that too, where the boot gets ripped and then it starts sucking air in there, and that could cause a lean seizure too. Also, this little hose clamp on the back sometimes comes loose. That's nice and tight. Oh yeah, let's look in there. Oh, the intake side of that piston, I don't even know what to tell you with that. It is damaged. It doesn't look like dirt ingestion where it's like, it looks sandblasted. This one is like, what is that? That's a piece of aluminum. The intake side of the piston looks melted. That is really odd. How am I going to get this off? I've never seen a piston stuck that bad before. I think I may actually just try to pop it down. Get this back in there. And if I got a little punch, I might try just putting it on top of the piston and just tapping it down. If I destroy the piston, it doesn't matter. We already know it's destroyed anyway. Let's try that. Find a punch here. If this doesn't work, I'm going to be a little bit stumped myself. I think it's moving. Yeah, I can see the flywheel turning when that happens. Oh, thank goodness. If this was a broken ring that was stuck in one of the exhaust ports, you wouldn't be able to do this. It's not going down anymore. See how far it moved. Oh, there's a big chunk of something sticking in there. Huh. Kind of wish I could move the piston up a little bit now. Wow, this is absolutely bizarre. I have never seen anything like this. I've had so many chainsaws apart. Stupid flashlight. Yeah, there's a big chunk of aluminum stuck to the intake side of that piston. That's keeping it from coming down. I think I got it. See how fun it is working on chainsaws? This is awesome. That is just bizarre. That piece of aluminum wasn't there, now it's back again. See that, what I dug out of there? Actually, you know what that might be? Look at that. That might be actually part of the lining, the chrome lining on the inside of the cylinder. I'm going to save that little piece of evidence, eh? And move it back up again. This is crazy. Wow. Hey, look at that. The piston comes up again. And, oh. That's interesting. Oh. Yes. All right, let's look at the cylinder first. Oh yeah, there's my cylinder bolt. So it is not a walkerized, full walkerized saw. He just had the muffler done. Because those transferred, nothing is opened up. Nothing's been ground in here. Sorry about that. I had to check the battery on my camera. We're good. Okay, so back to the cylinder. The cylinder looks really, really good, except on the intake side, right underneath of the intake port there. That's rough. That cylinder, you can't buff that out. That cylinder is screwed. There's no way you can hone that out enough to take out that. Oh well, the cylinder's done. Let's have a look at the piston. Oh my, my. Here's the exhaust side of the piston, nice and smooth. That ring is free on the exhaust side. On the intake side, the ring is stuck in. A lot of damage over on this side of the piston right here, sticking that ring in. And obviously you can see the intake side of that piston is broken. There's a big chunk broken. That's what was stuck. That's what was holding the piston from coming out of the cylinder. Okay, why did that happen? We know it's not dirt ingestion because that intake was just whistling clean. Can't be dirt ingestion. Another little chunk of that stuff. Right there. Huh. But it does turn over freely now. Oh, but look, can you hear that? Hear that? The bearings sound growly. They should not sound like that. They should be absolutely. Oh wow, it's kind of sticky too. Let's look at those main bearings. Oh no. Okay, we just found the problem. The main bearing, both main bearings you can see from the inside. There's a little tin little keeper that goes on the inside. It's almost like where a shield would be, like a dust shield, but it's a little spacer thing that goes in the inside of the bearing. And what it does is it separates the balls inside the bearing so they're evenly spaced. And that thing is gone. There's a huge gap between two bearings right there. And the little thing that spaces them out is completely gone. And bet you it's gone on this side too. absolutely gone. There's 3 balls that are all touching each other right there. So there you go. All right. So what happened right there was that those little spacer shield things came out, blew out of there, jammed in the intake side of the piston, and busted that piece off and seized that sucker solid. So I did, on that note, okay, now we know why it was seized. So why did that happen? Now, from memory, I did a warranty job once when I worked at Walker's Saw Shop. It was on a steel BG86 handheld blower. Same thing happened. That little thing came out, and it was under warranty. So I phoned my service rep about the warranty issue, and he said the only way that those little shields can blow out is from overspeed. The bearings are turning faster than they're designed to turn, and that will blow those things out. I don't know actually if that's 100% true or not, but he's the service guy. He should know. So did it overspeed? Hey, remember we took that carburetor and it was only 3/4 open. It wasn't even a full turn open. It could have been running too fast. This could have been running at like 14,000 RPM and blew those out. That is suspicious. They shouldn't. That high-speed screw should have been turned out more than 3/4 of a turn. I think that's what happened right there. I truly believe that. So now I got to go tell George. Main bearings are shot, cylinder shot, piston shot. Okay, this is a nice chainsaw, expensive chainsaw, but he got 14 years out of it. In my opinion, there is no way this is worth fixing. On a 372, to change those main bearings, you have to take this thing so far apart, you have to split the crankcase in half. Take the crank shaft out. Too big of a job. This is not worth fixing anymore. In my opinion. I'm sure George will agree with me. Well, now we know why and all that stuff. I think we're done for today. I hope you like that. That's a video I've never tried to do before, just letting you see me take something apart. I've got lots of requests saying, hey Steve, just pull something apart. I want to see you rip something apart, see what your thought process is and everything. So there you go. I think that's it. Cheers. Steve out.